Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the 14-day photo artist journey. I'm very happy that you're here. Let's see, I'm going to, as always, get my comments showing. Okay. Technical difficulties always. There we go. Okay, there we go. I'm Denise Birdsong, in case you're unaware, and I am hosting this 14-day artist journey where we are going to be talking to you a plethora of amazing artists who I immensely respect and admire, and who you also probably respect and admire. And we're going to be talking to them about their journey as artists and kind of humanizing the process. I think a lot of us in general, we look up to several people, and we never really know what their journey has been. We just think they're these amazing, awesome people, and they do these big, beautiful, bold, bright things, and we're not sure how we're ever going to get there. And the truth of the matter is, they didn't just show up. They had a journey as well, like we all do. So we are going to go on this journey together, and we're going to learn from other people, and we're going to humanize the process. If you haven't had the opportunity to do so yet, I would encourage you to go over to, if we can drop a link, Lacey, that would be awesome. Go register for the 14-day photo artist journey. I have an amazing book that we've written, and it is a journal book that will help you go through this entire process. There's 4 phases in the photo artist journey. Phase number 1 is awareness, self-awareness, and this is where we take stock, learn everything we need to learn about ourselves, because nothing changes on the outside until we start changing on the inside. We can't do that if we're not aware. Phase 2 is we're going to be talking about vulnerability, and we are going to be making an agreement with ourselves to lean into that. Phase 3 of this journey is bravery. And this is showing up and doing things that are outside of our comfort zone, doing things that we're actually a little afraid of, but building the mental fortitude to go out there in the world and do the beautiful things that we want to do, even though we might be a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit afraid. And then the 4th phase is creating our unique vision. And this is something that we're able to do once we're working the first 3 phases. And those first 3 phases, we don't get to do them one time and then it's done. It's not like a one and done kind of thing, guys. It's a regular basis kind of thing. I think I do them personally on a daily basis. Something comes up every day where I kind of have to go through this process. And it's a way to kind of program our brains so that we can operate more efficiently. It's going to make us better artists for sure, but it's also going to improve quality of life just in general. And so today I have a very special guest, someone who is very near and dear to my heart. Her name is Betsy. I have, so much respect and admiration for this woman. It's unbelievable. 1, because of the journey she's been on. 2, because of the amazing human being she is. And 3, because I am enamored with her work. She's an amazing artist. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring in Betsy, and we're going to talk to Betsy about her journey as an artist and see what we can learn from it. And in advance, I just want to say thank you so much to Betsy for coming on and sharing this with everyone. This is such a gift that she's giving us, and I'm immensely grateful. So with that, let's bring Betsy in. Hey, girl.
Hi.
How are you this morning?
I'm great. Thank you. The sun's out, and I've got an 80-degree day today in Michigan. It's like summertime.
Wow. You're doing better than I am here in Southern California. You're doing way better than I am. Okay, where did my glasses? There's my glasses. Oh my God, I'm going to lose everything. Okay. Why don't you start by just introducing yourself to us? Let us know who you are, where you're from, where we can find you, things like that. Just let the audience who doesn't know you introduce yourself to them.
Absolutely. I'm Betsy McHugh Gibson. My studio name is Betsy McHugh Pictures, established before I got married. So name's sticking there. And all of my handles are Betsy McHugh Pictures. I like to keep them long and complicated, apparently. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, Betsy, I want to talk to you a little bit about what inspired you to become an artist first and foremost, and then how did that then translate into you becoming a photographer, and using this medium to create your art?
I was always kind of in that creative place of the arts that combine science and math and art. When I went into college, I thought I was going to be an architect. Then I made my way into graphic design. And then I was a professional graphic designer and editor for years. And I had kind of started to work a little photography into my work, but I was photographing food and buildings and stuff like this. And my wedding photographer for my first wedding was awesome. And we always kept in contact. And I got together with him and he was like, "You're people. Like, we need more people photographing people." Yeah. Why are you shooting things that don't move and don't have emotions? So he graciously invited me to just try out a wedding with him one day, like handed me a camera and he's like, "I've got it covered. Just get whatever you get, play, explore, see if it's for you." And I was hooked, like that first wedding. And so he was an incredible part of my foundation in photography. And he taught me so much. And I mentored with him for a year, working for free every weekend, shooting weddings with him. And I learned so much.
That's amazing. You don't really hear, I mean, we talk a lot about community over competition within the industry, but you actually don't see a lot of that happen. Like, we give a lot of lip service to it, but it's not often that we see it happen. So it's amazing that you found someone in your journey who was willing to do that for you. So when you made that transition from, doing graphic design and shooting food, and those are very much like, graphic design, architecture, these are all very much in the arts, right? They're definitely huge visual arts that I happen to love immensely. You know that.
Yeah, totally.
My favorite films is Helvetica.
Right, I know.
It's ridiculous.
I'm a nerd hat for a minute. Like, that's definitely my jam.
Yeah. But when you switched over into photography, did you find more fulfillment? Obviously, you must have found more fulfillment in doing that, or you would not have left graphic design, architecture, food photography, all of that kind of stuff. So did you feel like you were able to express yourself more? What was it that drew you more to that?
I think storytelling. Really, when I talk about like my whys, like storytelling has always been that backbone.
Yeah.
I think I've always been kind of fascinated with people.
Okay.
And like, I guess probably a little bit of like that adrenaline kind of feed too. Like, I love that, like I loved that about weddings, that constant challenge,
Yeah.
And so sorry, everybody's out on their motorcycles today. Let me close this window, maybe.
Okay.
With
COVID, we're all so used to this. All the noises in the background, it is just no big deal.
Okay. It wasn't too loud on your end?
No, it's fine.
Okay. All right.
We can all handle a little bit of motorcycle. Okay. We're not so delicate that we can't handle that. So it's interesting to me that, you went from, and I always find this interesting about photography and, photo artists. Oftentimes when we are taking commissions, which is what you're doing when you're shooting weddings, you're taking commissions, you go from working individually, creating your own work, right? So if you're shooting food, you're really kind of creating your own work. Yeah. When you're doing graphic design, a lot of the times you're doing your own work. There is some commission in it, but you are kind of doing your own work. Architecture too, those are a little bit more autonomous kind of things. Mm-hmm. And then when you move over into photography, there's a lot less autonomy in it, and there's a lot more collaboration, right? But there's an art in that too that I think a lot of people miss. Instead of like just putting our stamp on what we think it should look like, when we're a photo artist and we're commissioned by other people and we are telling stories, part of that art is actually collaborating with our clients and working with them to tell that story. And so it sounds like, and I think most of us as photo artists, if we've come from another one of the branches of art, we kind of enjoy that storytelling part and that collaborative part of working with clients. Maybe that's the adrenaline rush that you're talking about.
Yeah, I think everything you said is definitely on point with what's going on in my brain. I love that creative, like when you and I did like that shoot together, like I love that like creative energy that like that, back and forth feeding and like you're just kind of building on top of each other. Like I love that. And I think that is a lot of that like collaboration that I kind of learned in, the design world and there. And I'm a puzzle solver. Like I love to solve a puzzle. Like so, and I think that's why the arts that kind of involve that science and math really like energize me, and I feed off of that.
That makes you a very unique artist. And it's awesome. I'm so grateful that you had all of that and this is where you came from and that now you're here. I'm so happy about it.
Me too. Me too.
So Betsy's talking about a project that we worked on recently. We had so much fun. Betsy was in studio with me to shoot with me, and we had a project kind of like set up that we were going to work on, and like 10-15 minutes into the project, the concept, everything got flipped on its head. Just like in the comment of the person that we were working with, I asked her a couple of questions and she made a few comments, and we both looked at each other. Betsy and I looked at each other and we're like, whoa, we're not telling the right story. We need to change this story right now. And everything flipped and our whole concept changed. But it was beautiful because instead of working with that client who had come in to be a model for us and we were going to have our own concept, when we started speaking with her, we realized that there was a story there that needed to be told, like really badly. She had a story inside of her that needed to be told. And we instantly recognized that, and we flipped that whole project on its head. Everything that we had thought went right out the window. And it made it even more collaborative. It was collaborative between the model that we were working with and also between you and I, the three of us working together. And that day, I started that day going, I don't think I can handle another day. I was so exhausted. Like I don't think I can get through this day, like literally hoping it was only going to be like an hour or 2-hour project, like just hoping and hoping. We've all been there. We get so exhausted. We get to that point and we're just like, please let this be over quickly, even though it was an exciting project, right? And as soon as that collaboration started, I think we hit like 6 o'clock and the two of you were like, and we started at 8. So we hit 6 o'clock and the two of you were like, we're exhausted. And I was like, no, I'll bring in some lights. Let's go.
Yeah, we shifted into like just pulling that last little daylight out of the day possible. Like it just mushroomed like that. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was incredibly awesome. Thank you so much for doing that with me. And we're going to have those images up soon. They are absolutely incredible. Can't wait to share it with you guys. So Betsy, I want to talk to you. I want to ask you a question. I know the answer to this question, but our audience doesn't know the answer to this question. And it's me and you right now, and I got you, girl. So I want to ask you a question because we have a lot of people who are going to be watching this. They're either live with us or they're going to be watching it on a replay. And by the way, if you happen to watch this on a replay, go ahead and go into the Facebook group and leave some comments for Betsy. I think that's going to be a really important thing to do. So I want to know if you can discuss with me in the audience a time when you faced a significant challenge as an artist. And let's start with that. A significant time where you faced a challenge as an artist. Let's go with that.
Okay. Yes. Definitely have a point in time to talk about with that. I started off in photography back in, professionally, but before that, like actually around 2005, a little bit earlier than that. I had a wedding photography business with my husband at that time, Jeff, and we did an amazing job of marketing ourselves as a husband-wife team. He completely out of the blue, unexpectedly died in 2016 from a brain aneurysm. No warning, no nothing. It was the day after we had just come back from a shoot in Atlanta. So thank God that did not happen when I was across the country, a place where I don't live. And in that moment, you know, and, you know, people die all the time, right? He was my business partner, the other face of my business. I think in the process of how we built our business together, I'm kind of that, you know, I'm kind of a little bit of I'm the most introverted of the extrovert personality types. So in a lot of ways, Jeff had become kind of the face of the business as far as like connections with people and networking and stuff. And I was kind of the creative mastermind behind it. And so I'd kind of really kind of shrunken into the background a little bit in a lot of ways. So when Jeff died, I had the harsh realization that basically my business had died with him. And I didn't know what to do. Fortunately, like, you know how sometimes the universe like conspires, and that summer, this happened in July. That summer, oddly, August was always our busiest month, and for some reason that year we didn't book a single wedding for August somehow. And I was like, well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
The first wedding I went back to, I literally cried in the bushes at one point. And I had, at that time, I had an incredible community of people. And I knew, you know, first of all, I never get on a video with Denise without crying on an average day. So I knew that was going to happen today. We got to clean that class. But I had an incredible community of people in San Diego where we had built our business and our lives. And at that time, I mean, I had friends who came in, the young friends who I'm really good friends with. They came in, literally ran my business for me for like 2 months on top of their business. Like I couldn't remember where I had files on my computer. Like total complete fuzz. I went back and I was very, very committed to my clients. I've always been a big relationship builder with my clients. My clients become my friends. And I know people say this all the time, but like when this all happened, my clients were incredible. Like Jeff and I called every single one of my clients and told them personally. And every one of them was, the first thing they asked is like, what can I do to help? So I went back and shot my first wedding, like I think it was about 6 weeks after Jeff had died, and powered through. And the weddings that we had already booked together, I wasn't booking any new ones at that point because I was just like, I just don't know what I can do. And when you kind of catch yourself, like, you know, I do have a little bit of a dark, cynical side even before this happened. And, you know, I kind of figured out during that process that this wasn't the right way to serve clients. Because I kind of had to stuff my heart in a box and put it up on a shelf.
Yeah.
And I know, you know what that's like.
Yeah. I just want to say, first of all, I don't even know how you went back to work and shot a wedding 6 weeks after. Like, that's just, wow, amazing. And I'm so grateful to all of the people who helped you during that time. Like, thank you. But
yeah,
that had to be, we've talked about this a lot, you and I, we've talked about it personally, but that, I mean, talk about going on this journey. My God, like that's going on this journey. So, but during this time, was there ever a time where you just thought about quitting? Like, just, I mean, I can't imagine how there wouldn't. If it was, I think I would have just like stuck my head in the sand and like, that would have been it. Like
every day.
Yeah.
I mean, and I had such an incredible community of people around me. Like, I had plenty of people who were like, you don't have to do this to yourself. Like, let us, like, we can go shoot that for you. You don't even have to pay me. Like, I had people doing that. And I was like, I guess, well, I am a little bit stubborn too.
No, what?
Not at all. But I really felt like I just felt like I had to do it, like, and not in a obligation way. It was like a conviction way. Like it was, I didn't know. It just didn't feel right not to.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I was starting to, okay, hundreds of weddings I've shot. This is the final wedding. And this is like, this was literally probably a week or 10 days after I had really like said it out loud enough times, written it down in my journals, said it in therapy over and over again, to the point where, you know, like when you set a goal and you're like, I've said it and I'm doing it, going, okay, I have to figure out a way to get out of weddings. Because there's got to be a better way for me, for my own mental well-being. Like there's got to be another way to do this. And at the last wedding that I was shooting, right after I decided that, the DJ all of a sudden collapses and starts having a seizure, and like ambulance comes in, goes out on a gurney. And I was like, okay, got the message, universe. Just wanted to make sure you kicked me in the teeth on the way out to make sure I got the message. Got it loud and clear, you know?
Oh my gosh.
And so that, like, I actually ended up having like a PTSD episode that brought me right back to the moment that like Jeff died. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not good to other people like this, and I'm not good to myself. So something has to change. And where I went from there, again, like I had really good, supportive, amazing community of friends, some in the photo industry and some not. And again, Jeff Younger, I call him up and he's very level-headed, but he's a risk taker. And I had really just like stopped asking anybody's opinion who wasn't a risk taker, because wait, am I allowed to curse on here a little bit?
Yes. It's me, of course.
I know it's you. I figured it was okay. You know, I had already given all my fucks. Like, so I didn't like, and nobody could really like the people who were supporting me and who were there by my side were just supportive in wherever I was going, and they were there to catch me if I was going to fall. But they were all risk like the people who I started like asking for advice from, I like knew that they were willing to take a risk. So I call up Jeff Younger and I was like, okay, I have this crazy idea. I think it might be the craziest thing I've ever come up with, like in my world. I think I really want to fuck off to Europe for a while and like leave the country. If I don't get out of this city where every single time I turn around, I have a reminder, I need to build some new memories, and I need to actually figure out who I am at this point, because I'm not the same person. And I'm like, so I found this group of like, it was basically kind of like a travel agency type of thing that worked with entrepreneurs or remote workers and stuff. And they'd arrange your apartment and find you a place with like good internet and that kind of thing. Everybody was like independent still. But so I find this group and I was like, I think I want to do this. And he's like, yeah, it's totally crazy, but yeah, you should totally do it.
Can I just interject for a second? This is so big and so bold and so just like brave. It's unbelievable. Like you were literally going through the journey that we're talking about going through as you were like embarking on this new chapter. So you got to this point where you're just like, I can't do this. And here we go. And I'm going to go through whatever. And the fact that you were only listening to risk takers, Betsy, this is like, I don't know if you knew it at the time consciously or if it was something that was kind of happening subconsciously, but listening to people who were willing to take risks in the presence of fear, in the presence of uncertainty, is such a brave thing to do, and intentionally do that. Maybe not even consciously knowing that you were doing it, but subconsciously having made that choice speaks volumes about how brave you are and the artist you are and how aware you are and why, of course, you're such a brilliant, brave artist. Like, we've never talked about that part before. You've never told me that part before. And now all these pieces of the puzzle are just like fitting. I'm just like, oh, well, of course. Like, and take note, folks, if you want to ask questions, ask brave people.
Yeah. Because I knew like you know, probably 75% of the people I know would be like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. Oh, you're going to go travel by yourself, like solo? I had never traveled by myself before. At that point in time, I had never eaten like a meal in a restaurant by myself. Like, you know, like a nice meal, sit down and not be uncomfortable in my own space.
Yeah.
Like being able to sit with yourself and not get like self-conscious and like all of those things. And and oh my gosh, I mean a time for probably a story for another day. I'll tell you all the crazy stuff that happened in that whole transition. But like basically then, you know, people were helping me figure out ways to make it happen. Like these are the same friends who like turn around, like younger, I always call them younger and rich cut. They're like, okay, we're going to help you. Like, you're going to do a Kickstarter. You're going to sell art. You're going to create art while you're shooting, while you're out there. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I don't, no. That's like, it makes me feel squirmy. Who's going to like sign up for that? Because I knew I had enough money to basically go for 3 months.
Yeah.
All my friends in my neighborhood came over and like spent weekends helping me clean out my house so I could rent it out. Like had my house rented out. My other friends are helping me like interviewing my clients. They helped me make a promotional video for having a Kickstarter and like had my clients on talking about me. And like, I mean, unbelievable. And I get weepy about this because I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, all the things that people have done to kind of help get me to where I am, you know, it's pretty incredible. So yeah, I'm still running around the house, packing up stuff. Rich comes over. He's like, I'm driving you to the airport, making sure you get on that plane. He shows up at my house. Like I had just gotten out of the shower 15 minutes before that. I had just finished packing an hour before that. Keeping in mind, I'm living in a suitcase for months. I arrive at the airport with wet hair. Get on my plane. I think everything finally hit me, and I have an anxiety attack like somewhere over the Atlantic. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? And I really, if we're being real honest and transparent, I was like, I'm not sure what I'm going to shoot and like people are going to want to buy, you know, like I didn't even know what I was going to shoot. I didn't go into it with like, I'm like, I'll figure it out. It will present itself to me. And I kind of went with that trust and trust my gut and just like, okay, let's do this. And I think something really, really interesting happened in when I started taking photos there. And I've had numerous people comment on this who followed my work during that time. There was so much darkness in what I was choosing to photograph to start with. Like, and they watched the light come in.
As you healed.
Yeah. And I think like that has, you know my obsession with black and white. And I always loved black and white film. But to me, like black and white during this period when I was out, I was doing street photography because I love street photography. We talked before about how I call myself a moment chaser. Like I live for that. I will sit and wait with all the patience in the world for half an hour for a split second for something to happen that just like makes my heart sing. And but what I discovered, I think when I go back and now, you know, so many people commented about how my work had like they were watching it change as I was changing and I was evolving and really kind of figuring myself out, was that I was that little like that place where the light goes into the shadows. Mm. And like, or where the shadows like emerge into the light. That's, I think my brain is wired different now. It's wired differently now. I mean, there's a little PTSD still packed in there somewhere, but we're always working on that. But like, something happened. I got rewired during all of that. You know, I'm talking about Jeff dying and then like going out and spending all of that time by myself. I would wake up in the morning and I would open the door and I would walk out the door without any plan. And I would get to a corner and I was like, straight ahead, right, left. Okay, let's see where that goes. And I just was curious about everything. I was just like, something will, like, I wanted to find extraordinary microseconds in the ordinary stuff that was going on around me. And some of those moments were actually kind of painful. I remember being in a park in Paris one day, and I was photographing stuff that was going on, and I saw this like old couple like walking hand in hand, and I like fell into a giant heap of a sobbing mess. And I was like, I'll never have that. At that time, I thought that. We know that the universe had something else in mind for me now. But at that moment in time, I was like, that was taken from me. And I really had to learn how to not just mourn the loss of Jeff, not mourn the loss of my business, but also mourn the loss of a future that I had planned. And I remember like, you know, I went into a really dark place in London. I think a lot of people do. It does have like that grit to it where it feels like that's a place where that can happen. Yeah. And it's like, it's okay, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it is good. And I remember like there was one day I went to sleep and I slept for 3 days, and I've never done anything like that in my life. And I woke up, and then when I woke up, I said, that future is not yours. Like that was never your future until it happens. And then everything felt different after that. I was like, okay, now I'm ready to go home, sell my house. And then I don't know, probably go back out and travel. And I don't know what after that. We'll see.
Yeah. If that's not an adversity to overcome, there was something in your story that I really resonated with. But first of all, like the chutzpah, my goodness, like the bravery, the bravery that you had to go through this is absolutely incredible. And I'm hoping, I know that by you sharing this story, and I'm so grateful that you did, that there are so many of us who are just like, I'm facing this and I'm facing that, and I'm not sure how to overcome it. And, you know, this is one of those very extreme cases of my business is coming to a complete halt. And how do I continue creating art in the absence of everything that I thought my art was? And you just bravely just went out there and figured it out for yourself. Like, so I'm hoping, I know that people who listen to this, and thank you so much for sharing, Betsy, are going to be like, wow, inspired. If she can do this, then this is a journey that I can go on as well. And it's not that anyone's journey is more intense, is any more, it's all subjective. It's all really relative, right? To the person who's experiencing it. So, you know, I just want you guys to know that Betsy is absolutely, unequivocally a living, breathing example of we can overcome if it's something that we're truly passionate about and something that we want. I love how you talked about like people watching your work evolving during that time as you were feeling what you were feeling, and your work changing and growing. I remember when my mother passed away, it was the next day that I had to leave to go shoot the very first like footage for the first ever online strip down course. And I didn't have a choice. Like the models were booked, the video team was like, everything was booked. I had to go shoot for this. And I remember midway through it, one of my assistants was like, the only thing you're shooting for is longing. You have to switch gears. And I was like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can. In that moment, the only thing I could shoot for. I I didn't have time to kind of work my way through it. I had to switch gears, but I understand that, like, that shooting from where the place you are. You've actually inspired me. I want to get on a plane right now, right this minute, and go to Europe and go shoot my way through all of the challenges that I'm currently going through myself
Yeah.
and see where that takes me. But since that's not something that I can do, you've actually inspired me to start doing a personal project where I'm shooting what I'm feeling and working my way through it and seeing how that art helps me grow and seeing what kind of evolution comes from that. So
I love that.
yeah, I'm excited. You've like inspired me. I'm excited. Like I want to do that now.
I love it.
A little piece of your story really touched me quite deeply. So we know that, your business came to an end. Did you want to quit? Yes, you did. And you did. You quit.
Yeah.
So then there you are. Like, now what? Now what do you do? So what kind of photography? Obviously, we know you're still a photographer. You're still an artist, right? So what kind of photography did you transition into after that? Obviously, we're not going to shoot weddings because it's not a healthy place for you to be emotionally at that time or maybe ever. So how did you transition? What did you move into? And why did you stay with this art? Why did you stay with this art? What compelled you to stay here?
That's a great question. That's a really good question.
That would seriously break a lot of people. And they'd just be like, on to the next thing. What compelled you to stay here, and what did you transition into?
I thought it was a thought that constantly came into my mind every single day or every second of every day after I came back from traveling. It's like, now what? And I really had to find something. To me, like, weddings always had a built-in meaning to them. Like, that was meaningful. I felt I had a purpose and I had a very strong voice there. It took a while to find it, but I found it. And it was like more of that, that candid, more photojournalistic, the moment chasers. Like, those are the things that I was known for. And that's the stuff that I got excited to be there for. And I really struggled with what I was going to do next, because where am I going to find that and something else? I was also being told, constantly in the industry that you're never going to make any money doing this unless you're shooting weddings. Well, I've proven that wrong in my life. Wrong. I refuse to subscribe to your newsletter. But so at that point, I started doing family life documentaries. So they're like a day in the life. And that was, following people around for like half a day. And we do like all kinds of stuff. And I really love that. It's a lot of work. And then I had a potential client go to my website, which is still full of weddings and elopements. And I didn't know what, because I was like, I don't know. I don't even know what to do with it yet, because I don't know what I'm going to do. And she saw my website and she called me up and she's like, I'm like on the verge of a divorce, and or we're having like a rough patch kind of thing. Right. And I really want to do a boudoir shoot. She's like, you're my person. And I was like, here's a couple pictures I took at a pictage workshop like 10 years ago. You want to see it? Like, yeah, I've shot a couple boudoir photos, totally irrelevant at this point, 10 years old. And she's like, are you willing to try it? And so that was not the first time like something like that had happened in my business, where my clients have like kind of driven me down a road. And I was like, okay, like, let's go on this adventure, see what happens. And again, it was one of those, I did that. I saw how much it helped her. We did this collaboration and I was like, oh, there's meaning in this. Oh yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. And I've gone through quite a transition with like my approach to this work. But I also hit a wall with it, because I didn't feel like the art that I was producing, or the photos that I was producing, were reflective of like what my clients were really going through when they come to me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
we weren't showing those like that, like humanistic kind of the human elements and like how powerful this truly was. Like it's still, they were still getting pretty pictures of themselves. But again, pretty pictures have never been enough for me. So then I found Denise and Strip Down. And I know this call is not necessarily about Strip Down, but there's no way that I can possibly talk about what I do without talking about it, because I very much felt like I was a technician and not an artist before this.
That makes me shudder.
Click, click. Like I've always, like, once I learned manual exposure, like I feel like I've always been, because I had that sciencey, mathy kind of brain along with art. And so like the technical stuff has always just kind of come fairly easily to me. And I'm thankful for that. I know that's not the case for a lot of people, but I very much felt like click, 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 click. Like there was something missing, and it was not thrilling me to like, I think that caused a lot of self-doubt in me and myself.
Lots of imposter syndrome.
Oh gosh, yes. Because I felt like, I mean, here in reality, I restarted my business, and that's when I became Betsy McHugh Pictures, because I wanted it just to be mine after sharing a business with Jeff. So I restarted my business then. And then, you know, I ended up meeting Todd, and we moved to Michigan. So I picked up and moved my business. So I've started my business 3 times. I'm scrappy. I don't give up, do I?
No. I love that about you. I love that about you.
You're not the boss of me. I like being my own boss. So like really like it felt like I was starting all over again. Like I was a baby photographer again. But I wasn't hitting, and it was really, really frustrating for me. And when I did find Strip Down, and I was like, oh, okay, like this is what I needed. That was giving me so much, that was genuine purpose in my work. You know, I think I developed like a back-end client process that was really like, that gave me purpose, and it gave my clients like a really positive experience in that way. But this is different. Like the things that I get to show people in themselves, and my clients appreciate the art that I found through that, where the light meets the darkness. Like,
yeah,
they like the people who like my work, and I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but the people who like my work, like they'll come to me and they're like, I love your black and whites. And I'm like, yes, keep talking. You're speaking my love language. Like,
if you guys are not familiar with Betsy's work, you really need to go check it out, because she is a brilliant, brilliant artist. It's beautiful, beautiful work. So we kind of know a little bit about how your process in developing your unique vision as a photographer, but it sounds to me that there's been a change. You know, I know that you talk about being a moment chaser in weddings, and when you were traveling in Europe, you were also a moment chaser. But in boudoir photography, do you still feel like within that niche you are a moment chaser, or do you feel a little bit more control of the creation? Like, talk to me a little bit about how we had a vision in weddings. Has our vision changed now that we're in another genre, and we went through this, I mean, this massive life, you know, upheaval and change? Like, these are things that really like make us work on the character of who we are, and understand who we are, and be self-reflective, and have to embrace vulnerability. And then if we choose to decide to go out there and be brave, and clearly with starting your business 3 times, that is deciding to be brave. And we know now that you are a flourishing business and a flourishing artist. So we've gone through this process a whole lot of times, but I'm curious how and if your vision for your style has changed.
yeah, I mean, I think that we still have that. And, you know, I think you and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago, where I kind of had that moment where I realized, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm still doing that moment chasing in the style that I'm shooting now, you know, post Strip Down, because it has such a like an authenticity to it. And we're really like, I really interact with my clients a lot. I am really kind of, I want them to see, like, I love pulling that little thread, going back to that puzzle solving. Like, I love to pull that little thread and like be able to show something to somebody that's just so authentically them, and they see it and they go, oh, there I am.
Yeah.
And because I shoot, like, I love like having this movement and like all of these different things that we're doing in a shoot. I'm not doing just strict poses. And so because of all this body language and movement and like a flow to it, and we're having a good time, like this, I'm always getting like, I'm always chasing those little in-between moments that wasn't even really what we're after. And I always call this like, it's kind of the same thing that I went back, like, do I get to a corner? Do I try on right or left? Like, and when I was doing all that street photography, and I'd be walking around a city for 14 hours a day, doing that all day long. I call it chasing the white rabbit, because like Alice in Wonderland was my favorite book growing up. And so I'm always like, where are we going? Where's this going? Let's follow that path. And then we can come back, you know, but that fluidity to it, I've really found that I can still chase those little in-between moments that get me really excited. And I think just like having the authenticity in what the style of boudoir that I am shooting now, that is storytelling. My clients see my work and they say, you're such a storyteller. Like they see that in them, in the photos.
Yeah. I watched you there for a moment when you were talking about how you're shooting now, where you went through longing, desire, coy, and joy in like microseconds. Like your life went through. All like, man, it's amazing to watch that. And it is such incredible authenticity. Like, I've seen you work. I know how you coach and guide your clients, and you have them mirror you because you know and understand body language now. And I know that you know and understand their stories now. When we worked with Haley, like we worked to get her story, and we both looked at each other and we were like, whoa, we're going the wrong direction. She has a story we need to tell. And then everything, we really went to upside down land, and everything was just upside down. And I watched you through all of that, and it was just so incredibly beautiful how you pull what's inside of your clients out. And it's such a beautiful collaborative process, and it is a very unique vision that you have, and your style as an artist is incredibly unique. You've taken all of these life experiences, all of the education that you've put into this, the time to understand who you are, the art that you love, the things that you want to create, and you have created a beautifully unique voice for yourself, but also like for your clients. And I commend you for that. It's quite beautiful. Another thing that you're really good at that I suck at, and I think a lot of us are not good at when we are working commissioned artists, is you are incredible at balancing running your business and the demands of that business and your clients with also having personal projects. And I had said this to you before, and you were like, really? You think so? And when you guys hear this, you're going to be like, oh my God, she's really good at this. She doesn't even know she's good at it. But talk a little bit about how you balance like the demands of running a photography business and keeping up with your commissions and managing your marketing and the back end and client interaction, all of that kind of stuff, but still being fulfilled as an artist personally and doing things that set your heart on fire as well, and like just make you happy. And I think, Betsy, because perhaps because you have experienced tragedy and loss to the extent that some of us have never experienced, like you live, like you don't mess around, you live. Like, and you live out loud and beautifully and boldly and just brightly, unlike very, very few people do. So talk to us about what you do with personal projects.
Yeah, it's funny because like, yeah, we did have that discussion. You're like, yeah, you're really good at that. And I was like, huh? What? Cool. Tell me more. So I started like, you know, these cancellations happen or reschedules happen, especially in boudoir. I think especially people feeling like they're brave enough to show up, right? So what I started doing recently was if I had a cancellation, and I like put out like a model call and into my group and just say like, hey, just wait, because I'm already paying for my hair and makeup artist and I've already got the date. And I was like really kind of bumming that I wasn't going to get to shoot. Like I was looking forward to like shooting, you know? This was right after I came back from workshop. So I was like all fired up. And so I just like put it out, and then somebody booked it. Like I waived the session fee, and I was like, well, if you like anything, like you can buy it. But like, I just wanted to create and play and like work through some stuff that I wanted to experiment with a little bit more. And then coincidentally, I had a fantastic sale from it, but that wasn't the goal necessarily. But I just wanted to be able to like step into that space and just like not have to like, it was very much like that day that you and I had that shoot, because I still wanted to know about the client who came in.
Yeah.
Right. Because that kind of like, okay, which path are we going to go down? You know, what's going to get her really excited about participating in this, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that goes back to the collaborative piece, Betsy, when again, in this particular medium, it's not, we don't go sit in the field and paint all day, whatever we want. We're working with people. And oftentimes as artists who are drawn towards photography as a medium to express themselves, we love people. I mean, we could go be landscape artists if we wanted to, but that's not what we've chosen. We've chosen to be portrait photographers, which means most likely we enjoy working with people. And so that collaborative part of getting to see the humanity of another and experience that humanity and bring it out so beautifully. Some of us might look at that and think, well, that's not a personal project. Well, I'm going to not subscribe to that newsletter. Yeah. BS on that. Because I think for those of us who are drawn to this medium as artistic expression, we thrive on that. We thrive on that, like interacting with that humanity, capturing that humanity and that beauty. And so, you know, when Betsy told me that she had started doing this, whenever she has a cancellation now, she just puts up a thing in her group and says, okay, working on a personal project, waiving my session fee, anybody who wants to come in and play for the day. And then she gets to do what she wants. I mean, she obviously, like she said, she'll kind of like work with the client a little bit and figure out who they are. But then it's not about creating for the client at that point in the parameters that we always have to create in. It's about, oh, I want to know who this person is and I want to tell this story, but I'm going to do it in my way. And so you get to step into those personal project moments. And I think that is brilliant. I don't know why we're not all doing that. Like if we have a cancellation, hair and makeup is set up and we have the time. I mean, so many of us are like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go work on my SEO, or I'll go do that marketing thing I need to do, or I'll go create some reels or whatever. Sometimes feed your soul. Just go in, throw up a model call, let your group know, let your people know. Bring people in and just create with them, to create, like fill your soul. And this is this can be a very big part of creating your vision. So if you're not quite sure what your style is or where your vision is, these kind of play sessions where you really get to just explore, this is a place where you can really, really, really tap into like what sets you like on fire, what makes you feel alive, what makes you happy. And so I highly recommend it. And Betsy, you're dope for doing it. That's awesome. I mean, it's brilliant.
Thank you. Well, and even when I was doing the street photography in Europe, and like that to me, like when I can just get in that zone and I'm just like, I don't have that, I guess, that pressure where I feel like I have to create something that somebody's expecting me to create. And I can just like, I can get curious. Like I love my curiosity. Like I think my curiosity is a huge part of my being and my art. And like just being able to chase something and like, oh, let's see. Oh, wait, we stumbled onto something. Like, oh, wait, let's take that one step further. Ooh, where is that going? Did she pick any? She picked a few of my weird shots. It's cool. They weren't her thing. That's fine. We still created other stuff that she loved that was still like outside the box, but just not as, you know, really weird, abstract kind of weird shit that I like to shoot sometimes. But but she enjoyed it. She was like, oh, this is so cool to watch your like creative process and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's flexing those muscles. I mean, that time we get to do that, that is flex. And
Yeah.
you might not bring all of that back into when you're working with clients, but you're going to learn something from doing that that you will be able to bring back into your business and into your working with your clients and into your voice. So I highly suggest you guys do that. Betsy, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here with us. I want to open this up to questions. If you guys have any questions for Betsy, Betsy's happy to answer them for you. Let's wait and see. I know that there's a little bit of a lag with this stream, but let's see if anybody has any questions. Betsy's also a stripped down master student. So if you are coming to any of the workshops that we're going to be doing, Betsy will be there. She'll be there as a student at one of them, and she'll be there as a moderator at another one of them. But Betsy will be there, so you guys will get to meet her in person. And if you signed up for the online class, Betsy's always in class as well, so you'll see her there as well.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe it. I love it.
So Michelle John Dobbs has asked, knowing that you're in a very different space now, what is your biggest driver for creating art?
I think to me, the thing that really is like deep seated in my heart and soul about creating art is really helping people feel seen. I think like I live for that moment when somebody goes, "Oh, there I am." Like I live for that. I love that. So, and maybe that's, I think, you and I have had a lot of conversations about like, once I finally found Denise's, I call it the Island of Misfits, an artist, right? Meant in the most affectionate, loving way. Yeah. But I think I always kind of felt like I didn't have that place. I felt like kind of unseen, and that I didn't have a home in that way. And so maybe that's part of what I really love about that.
I think a lot of us, when we're creating art through photography, what drives us oftentimes are the things that we want to express personally, right? Or things that we wanting to be seen, wanting to be recognized. These are things that you've craved your whole life. You've wanted these. You weren't not seen as a creative. You were not seen as an artist. There were places where you did not feel validated, and being able to, through your art, give that to other people is such a fulfilling and rewarding thing. You're such a beautiful person, Betsy, and such an amazing artist. Let's see. We had some more. So someone asked, how do you prepare for a personal project?
Good question.
And if you don't actually do preparation, Bets, if you just kind of wing it when you do your personal projects, you can, whichever way, I can take this or you can take it.
I might let you take it, because I was actually talking about personal projects last night with Todd, and I was like, do you think I plan stuff out for that, or do you think I just like fly by the seat of my pants sometimes? He's like, please. We all know the answer to that. Because I think I'm so used, like I've flexed that pivoting muscle. Yeah. So like I can pivot. Like pivoting to me is like, what if there's anything that's certain in life to me is like change.
Like, yeah, that's the one certain.
Been proven in all the ways. So to me, I think like I love to pull that thread and get curious. So I kind of have a loose plan, but I think you can probably attest to like planning out a project.
Well, I actually think there are so many different ways to plan for personal projects. The way that you talked about, Betsy, I think that can be very organic, and really unique things can happen when you do that. So when you're just like, I've got some free time, I'm going to bring in a client, I'm going to just see what happens. I want to experiment with this light, or I want to experiment with the piece of wardrobe, or I want to try this new backdrop, or I want to try a new movement, or I'm going to change my shutter speed and try and get some motion blur. Yeah. These are all personal projects. So we might not look at them as personal projects because they're not this big, huge styled shoot. Right. And I think when people think personal projects, they normally think big production style shoot. But I don't think that that's necessarily always what a personal project is. A personal project is something that's going to like make you happy, get your heart all excited and on fire. It could be something where you're wanting to experiment with new gear, new gels, maybe a projector. You've seen something that's just like, oh, I don't know how to do that, and I want to try it. So this now becomes a personal project where you're stepping outside of your comfort zone and you're growing and you're building new skills. So there are those types of personal projects. And then there's also like personal projects, and I do the type that we just talked about. I do those as well. I don't do them enough. I need to do more of that. And part of the photo artist journey is me committing to doing more of that as I'm going through the entire journey in the journal. Those are the things that I'm talking to myself about. And then there's more like produced kind of shoots where you like something strikes you. So I'll talk about one that I had recently. I was watching Irma Vep, which is a French silent film. It has the first femme fatale ever in film, ever in cinema, and her name was Irma Vep, and she was a muse to a gang called Les Vampires, and Irma Vep backwards is vampire, right? And it was very stylistic. It was the first time a woman was ever in a cat suit on film, in photos, anywhere. She was very dark, moody. She was a bad girl. It was the first time this happened in photos or film or anything like that. And so I was very inspired by that because we all know I'm a little spooky and dark.
I love you.
So I decided that I wanted to do my own take on Irma Vep and that particular character. And she was a thief, and so she was real slinky, and she was always, and so I wanted to go do something and create movement. And so I went and found a cat suit, and then I found a short black wig, and then I wanted to do like the dark makeup that they did back in the 20s, but I wanted to put like a modern take on it. And I actually did the makeup myself. That was a lot of fun. And then I went and scouted locations that looked like they were Parisian, which was not easy to do in the San Francisco Bay Area. But I found a place. Oddly enough, I found a place. And we got down and we just did all kinds of fun, weird stuff. And it was for nothing. There was no purpose to it other than I was absolutely inspired by this magnificent woman in this silent film. And it inspired me to want to create something serpentine and cat-like and a little dark and edgy and mysterious and fun. And I just spent a day playing and did it. And so you can be inspired by a painting. You can see a Degas and be like, oh, I want to capture like the movement that those brush strokes are creating. Or recently I was painting with one of my girlfriends, and we were using alcohol inks. And I was like, oh, I want to be Jackson Pollock, right? Like, and I'm just like throwing the inks at the canvas. And that has inspired me to want to go into the studio and create something that is just like flashes of like colors, like a human with like trails of colors behind it, because I was so inspired by Jackson Pollock and then the experience painting. And now I want to try it with photography. So I'm going to get lots of colors, and I'm going to go in the studio, and it's probably going to be weird and messy. And I don't know if it's going to turn out right or not, but that's not the point. The point is flex. Like, that's the point. Like, get out there and try and do new things. So,
well, I think recently, like on that note, I've really been like what I wanted to work on that day for that personal day of shooting was like really working on more of that like motion blur and abstract kind of stuff, not just for the sake of it being weird. Like, what does it bring to the story?
Yeah.
So like really trying to figure out like where those points are.
Okay, so you're turning into like Dali or something over there, huh?
Take it.
Someone asked, where do you share your personal project? On the same channels as your business?
Yep. And I just went through like the photos from that, so I'm just starting to trickle them out. And I haven't really posted the weird stuff from it yet.
Yeah.
But
I definitely share my personal projects on my regular channels, and VEP is going to be going up soon, and some other personal projects that I've worked on recently will be coming out soon. It's just they're tough because you have to balance. You've got the personal projects, and then you have to balance them with, like, all of your other works. They don't see the light of day as quickly as everything else does, right? But yeah, I share same places. Isabel says, where can we find your work, Betsy? Separate places for independent and client work? But no, everything's on your IG, right?
Yeah, I do still have my Instagram that I had from when I was traveling, but I haven't since COVID, I haven't done much of that. So yeah, that one's called Vita Passport. But yeah, my personal projects that I'm working on nowadays in this world are more all in the Betsy McHugh Pictures.
Okay, so Betsy McHugh Pictures and Vita Passport. Mm-hmm. Okay. Someone asked, what's your favorite image from your travel journey?
Oh, I really like minimalism. I really like it. I have a shot, but I really want to blow it up to like some ridiculous size and have it be like a widescreen kind of like orientation. Yeah. I was in Morocco. I ended up going to Morocco at the tail end of this. Went camping in the Sahara Desert and had to put on every piece of clothing I had with me because it got that cold and I was not prepared. And we drove through the desert for like an hour and a half to get to this place. And as we're in this bumpy ass Jeep bumping along, I look out over this way and there are literally like nomads walking with their like camel behind them across a flat ridge. And so I have this picture. It's like the nomad and like, I think it's two camels connect, like roped to each other. Yeah. And that's all there is. And it's just dark sand underneath and then bright white sky. Like it's all blown out.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's one of my favorites.
Passport. I'm going to look at that. I never looked at it. I'm on my way. So this call is over. Oh, I'm going there.
I'll send you a link to the gallery too, because there's more stuff in there.
So there are a lot of people in here who are thanking you for sharing your journey, saying, how come I've never heard of this woman before? She's amazing and beautiful.
Thank you.
Someone also said, returning clients who give me permission to fail are honestly my favorite humans. Yep, that's awesome. Someone wants to know when you're going to share that weird. So we want to see it. Get it out there.
Okay. I will. Definitely.
We definitely want to see it. So I know that you have downloaded the 14 photo artist journey. Would you suggest to the audience that they do the same and work it?
Yeah, get on it. I started diving into it yesterday, and I'm like really stoked about it. Because honestly, coming into this event, I've been thinking and overthinking and bouncing it all around in my head. Like, what am I going to do for my personal project for this? So yeah, when I was scrolling through it last night, and I did start to do some of the work, but I'm really excited to see what kind of unfolds from this.
Yes, I'm super excited to see what you create as well. And honestly, Betsy, your life and me knowing you personally as my student and now as my very dear friend, and my amazing peer. This is the photo artist journey is actually the way that you live your life. You are an example. I live my life this way as well, as much as I can to the best of my abilities. I think we all do that to the best of our abilities, right? We're not all perfect at any given time. And so the being self-aware, Betsy was out here not too long ago and we sat at a Mexican restaurant. She was having some tacos and I sat across from her and we just talked about like taking stock and inventory. And we were both like kind of each other's mirrors out of nowhere, like, just going back and forth about the things that we want to grow, the places where we want to improve, the things where we think we're great and brilliant and beautiful, and acknowledging those things in each other and, really lifting each other up for them. But then also looking at the places where we're afraid and obstacles that are perceived or real that need to be worked with. And we both know how to lean into vulnerability really good. Like that's That's something we do good. And then stepping out and being brave. Like it's not a, I know we're on a 14-day photo artist journey, but honestly, if you want to maintain creating beautiful work and beautiful art, if you want to maintain a thriving business, if you want to maintain a happy, healthy life, if you want to live like Betsy lives, like this woman lives, you guys, if you want to live, this is the way that we do it. So go download that. Lacey, if you can drop the link again, if you haven't already signed up, go sign up. You will get the link. And then I just want to quickly talk about the giveaways. I know that you're excited about some of these too, Betsy.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. So everybody who signs up, every single person who signs up gets a 20 by 30 print from ProPrints, shipping included, just for registering for the event. Today, someone who's on this call and who has asked a question is going to get a 32 by 48. I'm looking in the comments and people are saying, I want to live like Betsy lives and I want to live. And people are like, yes, I want to live. Yeah, you guys, you know, here's the thing. I'm going to get back to these sponsors in a second. When we're on the journey, as opposed to looking for the destination, we're actually living. When we're looking at the destination, we're actually dying. So we're always simultaneously doing those two things. Being alive means you are dying. That's just how it is. So you can either be on the journey and experience the living, or you can be looking towards the destination, which is dying. So we all get to make that choice. And I say, viva la live. Like, let's just
live.
Yeah.
Do you know what, when I incorporated and when I restarted my business as Betsy McHugh Pictures, my corporation name is actually Viva La Vida.
Oh.
So I see that all the time. Like, it's like, I mean, you know, like we're only guaranteed the present moment, right? It's all guaranteed.
Yep. And so, yeah, every moment we have to be on that journey and being experienced as much as we can, whether it's beautiful or whether it's difficult. And in here over the next couple of weeks, you have a solid community to do that with. We can all live boldly and brightly and beautifully. And after the 14-day photo artist journey is done, there is still a community where you can come and do this, of like-minded artists who want to grow, who want to thrive, who want to create that unique vision, who want to maintain their passion and also be, like, you know, successful entrepreneurs. So it's not going to end here. We're going to keep doing it in the group, but we've got a really intense one going on here. We're going to talk to lots of amazing people like Betsy who are going to inspire us to do that. And then we have amazing brand supporters who are supporting artists, which I think is beautiful. They're not just supporting entrepreneurs. They are supporting the arts, which are very dear to my heart, near and dear to my heart. So big, huge shout out to ProPrints because it's amazing. Every single person who registers gets a 20 by 30. ProPrints, we love you guys. You are amazing. And then today, someone's going to get a 32 by 48. Stella Pro is going to be giving away some awesome discount codes as well as some lighting as a gift for someone who wins in the Photo Artist Challenge. AIBP is supporting this. Elena, we love her dearly, and Boo DIY is supporting this. Backdrops by Jeremy Ellsworth, which he makes beautiful backdrops, guys. And Boo DIY is a great group to be in if you're not in it. We have Tailored Body Jewelry who is supporting this venture. And I actually shot Betsy in some of Megan's body jewelry, and it's gorgeous.
That piece made me feel like somewhere between a Las Vegas showgirl and royalty. And I don't even know where that landed, but it feels amazing to wear their pieces.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tailored Body Jewelry. Thank you, Megan, for creating the beautiful things that you create for all of us to work with. Smarketing is sponsoring this event, and then Barbie from Homespun Heart as well. And we've got lots of giveaways. So just remember, download that Photo Artist Journey. Working off my notes, guys, because I can't memorize things. Remember to download the Photo Artist Journey. Start working through it right away. Tomorrow, I am going to be interviewing Kiate, and I can never pronounce Kiate's last name. I'm absolutely horrible. It's Polksawasity. Kiati is amazing. You guys need to be here tomorrow for Kiati. He is so gentle and kind and brilliant. Oh my God, him and I are going to work on a personal project, Betsy, where you guys are all going to get to see me suck. Just like be awful, awful, awful until I become really good. So I'm excited about that. And then the other guests that we have over the next 2 weeks are going to be Jacqueline Tobin, Lacey Morgan, Sean Black, Aaron Blackwell, Maria I have a hard time with Maria's last name as well. Arlano. I'm sorry, Maria, forgive me. Elena Marr is going to be on with me. Leon Johnson, Aphrodite Maid. You guys probably know her from Sue Bryce. Sue Bryce pretty much kind of made her famous in this thing. And then I know Betsy's really excited about this one, and so am I. I get to interview my daughter, Sakara Ravenbird Song, who is a brilliant artist herself. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully she won't be too sassy during the interview.
That's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to hear that.
We'll
All
see.
of them are so cool, though. I'm so excited for everyone that you have lined up. It's gonna be amazing.
I am too, and it's amazing because we get to hear about the journey. So if people were to just go to your page and see your work, they're like, oh, Betsy's amazing. And if people come to webinars and they see you talking, or they come to a workshop, they're just like, oh, Betsy has arrived. No, Betsy's human like the rest of us, and Betsy has been through it, and then some. And then some more. And then maybe a little bit more after that too. And she's persevered. And every single one of you is capable of doing that as well. We can all do it. We just need to work those phases in the journey. And we need to have supportive communities like Betsy had. And we're trying to create that for you guys here. Supportive communities where you can be vulnerable, where you can lean into fear, uncomfortableness, uncertainty, flex those muscles, grow, create that vision, and stay passionate about the art that you create. I want to thank everybody so much for joining us. Lacey, do you want to let me know who has won? Everyone is saying you've been super inspiring. And then someone's asking for the 20 by 30 print. Did I miss that, or has that email been sent out? I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be in the email or on the site. I don't know. We're going to have Lacey answer that question. I do the front end stuff, guys. I have other people do the back end stuff.
And thank you all for like leaving comments and being engaged, and also Denise inviting me on to share and own my story, because it's brought me to where I am right now, and I appreciate that we have a space for that.
Thank you for sharing it. I think it's going to help a lot of people. So it looks like Lacey, is that, I can't tell if that's Lacey or not saying. Okay, so our winner today for the larger print from ProPrints is Megan Boggs. Megan, let me know if you're here with us. And ProPrints is going to be sending each of you a unique link to redeem your canvas, I believe, at the end of the journey. Yep, Megan's here. Awesome, Megan. So you won the 24 by 36 today, or the 32 by 48.
Wow.
Today. Right? That's a big old print. Congratulations. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for their time. I'll be back tomorrow, 10 o'clock again. I hope everybody has an amazing day, Betsy. I love you so much. You're amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's all go out and live today. Go live. Go do something that makes you feel alive and amazing and just wonderful. One beautiful thing for yourself today. Okay? Same for you, Betsy. I love you, honey.
I love you too. You have a beautiful day.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.